Hello, my name is Mark Kovich. I'm a business development leader at IBM. I'm part of the IBM Internet of Things, Continuous Engineering, and Connected Products organization. Thank you for joining our webinar today on how IBM can bring agility to HP Quality Center and ALM teams. Today our presenters are Christoph Tellup. He has over 20 years experience in the software industry, ranging from design, development, project management, to testing both in the IT and the embedded systems domains. He has also over 10 years experience at IBM as a product manager in the test and quality management segment, successfully launching several innovative test automation tools on the market. Christoph is now the worldwide product manager for IBM Rational Quality Manager software and the support for the lean and agile methodologies in the IBM Rational Collaborative Lifecycle Management solution. Also with us is a very valued business partner of ours, Kovair Software. One of the other presenters will be Amit Dasgupta. He brings experience in DevOps, big data, tools integration, in migration, application lifecycle management, agile implementation, both in Scrum and Lean, SDLC and PPM domains spanning over 18 years. Currently, he strategizes on the growth market direction and customer engagements of Kovair's exclusive range of ALM integration products. Until his recent assignment, he has been held responsible of defining new products and marketing plans for them. Amit is also a certified Scrum Master. And our other presenter from Kovair Software is Abantika Chatterjee. She is a software engineer, understanding customers' pain points, coordinating with key stakeholders, and configuring appropriate solutions of her major responsibilities. She provides consultation and hands-on assistance to prospects and customers in data migration products. Before we get started, I'd like to mention that you're in listen mode only and that this webinar is being recorded. We'll have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation and demonstrations. I'd like to point out the question box in your control panel. You'll see a little triangle that says questions in that control panel. If you click on that triangle, it'll expand, and you can go ahead and it'll be a chat box. You can write a question, hit submit. It'll come directly to me. I'll keep all questions in the queue, and I'll read them in chronological order to our presenters, in which they'll go ahead and answer. You can submit a question at any time. I reply to all questions. I'll let everybody know that when your question is about ready to be asked, I'll say, your question coming up next or your question coming up now, so that you can pay attention and be aware of the answer. So please feel free to ask as many questions as you'd like. With that said, there's one other thing I want to mention is we do archive all the webinars. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the URL web link in the chat window. You can copy and paste that for your convenience, so you can view all the past Enlightenment Series webinars. Everyone, registrants and attendees, will be receiving an automated email from me. So if you have any further questions or interest, you can reply back to that later today or tomorrow. So I think I've said enough for now. We're going to get started. The first presenter is going to be Christoph. I'd like to introduce Christoph Tellup. Christoph, you get started.
Thank you very much, Mark. Very happy to be here today to talk about our story, and more specifically this partnership we have with our very nice business partner, Kovair, and how IBM and Kovair have teamed up to really provide the superior quality and test management to many of our clients that, today might not be very satisfied with a solution that they might use or have been using for some time in terms of dealing with test management. And specifically talking about, the experience that some customers have today with HP Quality Center or HP ALM, that is now a solution offered by Micro Focus since last year, as you might all know. So really we're going to discuss about, the kind of solution we can provide to those customers moving forward to make sure that specifically, deal with the world we live now today, which really means, more an Agile and DevOps world with all those things being connected together in this Internet of Things, whether it is for industrial or consumer devices. So actually, before we dive into really the topic, let me just remind everyone about some of the very specific trends we see on the marketplace and how they impact our day-to-day jobs as system engineers or quality assurance testers. So specifically, about Agile and DevOps first here, right? we do see that many clients, many organizations are going on a journey, a transformation to lean and agile practices. And not only talking about, small development teams which are co-located and, only a few developers together going through lean and agile practices such as Scrum. But really we see that now with many organizations that are going into that transformation journey where the norm is going to be agile at scale across multiple agile teams at the program level or even at the enterprise level. Actually, you see in the screenshot here that even the HBR this June issue is talking about agile at scale. So this is really something we hear a lot in the industry and becoming the norm now. And as part of this specific trend, we do hear a lot about the need to, adopt some of those agile methods, such as test-driven development, right, where you really want to make sure you start thinking about quality and test first as part of the design and development of the complex system of software that you're dealing with. Also, a very important part of this trend is that obviously you want the teams to be agile, meaning to be more self-governed and have more flexibility in terms of deciding what they should put next in their development backlog and so forth and so on. But at the same time, all those agile teams still need to be orchestrated together. They still need to manage dependencies, and to do that in a clear way, right, in a way that works across the programs or the organization, they need the right communication and collaboration tools to help with that. So we do hear from our customers the need for a consolidated ALM platform that can really facilitate this communication across different teams, agile teams across the different domains, so that they can really be agile at scale. So that's a very first and important trend we see on the marketplace that has an impact on the tool that you would like to choose or use in the future. The next one, and certainly we hear a lot about, is Internet of Things, but also in terms of really how you are going in terms of designing and developing those connected products, right? And we do hear a lot about this idea of digital twins or digital threads, which is really having visibility into, those real things in having a virtual replica of those things so that you can more easily understand what's going on as your product is going through operation, is really being used. So we are switching towards a more operation-centric view of those things. And that starts from the very beginning, from the design and the development of those complex products. And as we know, right, more and more of those systems which are connected have more and more software and needs more, teams to be involved. And also those teams, again, you want them to be agile, to do the right things right, so that they can be more efficient. You also need to have all this traceability from the very beginning, from the design, from the requirements down to the test, so that you have this digital thread in place, so that you understand that this specific piece of software and this specific mechanical parts have been designed in ahead of time in a specific way. So you have this end-to-end traceability across domain, but also across the different versions or variants of those products that you're going to have in productions or in services, right? And you have to have the right tools to deal with all that complexity into of traceability end-to-end and all those different versions and variants. So that's another very important point that you need to take into account when looking at the right tool to use for your ALM platform. And that's really one or some of the reasons why we've seen many customers starting to move to IBM from HP, right? But other specific points we can highlight here are really looking at, the cost of their license and maintenance of the existing tools, right? And how they can consolidate and reduce the cost by moving to a modern platform that can really give them the value they need for the money they put on the table. Also, as we looked at it, right, you have all those different agile teams which are maybe geographically distributed, but they still need to standardize on a set of tools, because then they want to optimize, you know, all their engineers, so that if some of those resources need to move from one specific team to another one, they don't have to relearn all the tool, right? They want to, if possible, have a uniform, unique platform, ALM platform, so that you know, those resources can more easily move from one team to another one. As we've seen, also very important is to have this 360-degree view on, you know, all the data that is being dealt with during development and design of those complex systems, all the requirements, the designs, and the tests, and all those things linked together, so that really engineers have a good understanding of what's going on at any point in time across all the different variants and across the different versions of this product that's being built and used by their customers at any point in time. And so finally, you know, as part of this move, and that's why we're teaming up with Kovair as one of our business partners, they need really a proven solution to help them migrate from whatever solution they use today as a ALM platform or tooling to the IBM platform, with no downtime and, of course, no loss of data. So this is a story we're going to deep dive into today. But before we get there, you know, some customer proof point here on the value those customers are getting from the IBM Rational Quality Manager or RQM tool, right? So two examples here, whether the customers are talking about increased productivity or how the tool helps with compliance by managing all those data together, right? Those are some of the benefits we see customers talked about when they are moving to RQM and adopt this platform and deploying through their team. If we deep dive into why making the move to IBM Rational Quality Manager, RQM, so there are 4 different topics I want to cover a bit more in detail here around administration costs, the maintenance of test cases, because we see a lot of customers having, you know, thousands, millions, even sometimes of test cases they have to deal with complex systems. Or when we talked about transformations and the right methods, that's also very important. And finally, how you integrate, you know, not only the ALM platform, but also this platform with whatever QA toolchain you might have to run your tests. So talking about the first point here, right, about administration costs. So certainly what we've seen with, you know, all the tools that sometimes you have not only to administrate the server, but you have to actually administrate each and every client workstation for that tool. You have to have the right version of the web browser. You have to write maybe even a plugin to put into that web browser for each, you know, tester, each user that is going to use that tool. And that's, of course, not something easy to do, and it's going to be an overhead for your administration users. Whereas with Rational Quality Manager, so we have a really modern tool with a modern platform that has no client install needed and can work with virtually any web browsers, whether it's Internet Explorer or Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. So a really very flexible solution and modern tool we have with this. Talking now about, you know, how you're going to manage your tests. In general, what we see again with many of our customers using ad hoc solutions or the tools is that to deal with this complexity, whether it is in the software or hardware or mechanical parts all together, right, and the fact that they are building those systems in, you know, iterations and multiple versions and or variants, most of the time they're going just to duplicate those test cases that they're going to have to run for all these different instances. And so after some time, they are ending up with, you know, millions of those test cases to have to maintain, which is a lot of cost because they if they have to update, one of the copy of one of the duplicates, you see they might have to find out whether or not any of the duplicates have to be updated as well. With RQM today, we are offering a solution for this, which is, embedded in the solution in the rational quality management tool is a support for versioning directly in the solution, where you can create as many versions of your test artifacts as you want, but not only, talking about the test, but everything linked together when we look at, requirements, architecture, model elements, defects, and so forth, linked together to test artifacts. You can create versions and streams and baselines of all those artifacts together so that you can, as we say, right, work in the context of a specific global configuration for a specific version of variant of the product you're designing and testing, so that you understand in which context as an engineer you're working on at any point in time. You can easily go and create a new branch if you need to deal with a new specific version of variants for a specific market, for a specific customer. And obviously you can compare and merge all the different branches all together so that you don't have to really deal with the duplications anymore. So that's a huge benefit from existing tools that exist on the market. The next topic here is about, we talked about Agile and DevOps, and really, being able for your tools of choice to support the right methods is very important to make sure you boost the efficiency of your QA team, right? And so many tools or ad hoc solutions, they don't really have any support for Agile testing, for example, or they have low level of customization to really make sure you adapt to your specific test processes or workflows. And so we've been really investing a lot in the Rational Quality Manager tool in RQM in the past few years to not only support traditional methods, but also Agile methods or hybrid methods in the tool directly with risk assessments, or dealing with the backlog of tests, or looking at weight and priorities as different ways for you to go and do Agile test management and Agile testing all around. We also have fully customizable process workflow and artifact templates in the tool, so that if you're not really using, a standard way of working and your teams want to actually adopt the specific methods, they can do that. Also, if you do kind of align with existing Agile methods, such as SAFe or the Scale Agile framework, we also support that out of the box up to the latest version, SAFe 4.5. So we have dedicated process workflows and templates, not only in Rational Quality Manager, but in our overall ALM platform to support this out of the box now with the latest version of our solution. So really boosting, the team's efficiency with support for the right methods they need. Talking about, making sure your tools support your environment, another important part of that is making sure that you can easily integrate your test management solution or ALM platform with the overall tool chain that you might use, right? Whether we're talking about test automations or, PLM or other tools that you might need to deal with the complex system and software you're designing and building. So again, with IBM, we've been really putting a lot of investment in making sure we support and actually contribute to worldwide standards such as the OSLC Open Services for Lifecycle Collaboration standard, so that it's easy for any other vendors, any of our business partners, right, to integrate with our solutions, whether it's Rational Quality Manager or our overall CLM platform. We also made sure to build, our tools with open and published and public APIs so that you can easily extend our solutions or integrate with tools, whether it's test automation tools or continuous delivery pipeline tools. So we have all that embedded in our solutions and available for you to make sure you can build a comprehensive QA tool chain based on those standards and APIs. As an example here, so IBM Rational Quality Manager, again, our test management solutions can, of course, help you manage your test cases, run manual tests, but also drive the execution of tests which are automated with another test tool, right? Whether it is a rational test automation tool such as Rational Test Workbench, or a test automation tool from one of our business partners, like National Instruments, like NI Test Stand, or even actually if you've been using HP test automation tools such as HP QTP, right? We also have what we call test execution adapters, so that you can run this tool from Quality Manager, meaning you can start the execution, you can monitor the execution, collect all the logs, all the results back into the RTM database, which means that all those tests are going to be linked and have this end-to-end traceability I talked about earlier, from requirements down to design, model elements, source code, and test, obviously. We, of course, also support open source solution tools such as Selenium, JUnit for unit testing as another example. So really a very versatile solution that we offer with RTM in terms of managing test execution as well. So this slide is kind of trying to give a quick overview of all the capabilities that RTM, Rational Quality Manager, can offer their QA organization. And I'm not going to go through all the details here, but it kind of gives you this overview in terms of the fact that RTM can help you, of course, with overall test planning in terms of test case management, right? Also in terms of planning the execution of your test, whether it's manual tests, automated tests, or a mix of them. Obviously, we can directly in RTM, link your tests, whether test cases or test script steps, to requirements, to the requirements-driven testing, to look at the coverage overall. And also in terms of the implementation of the tests themselves, we support manual testing directly in the tool, as I said a minute ago, but also the ability to drive test automation. We, of course, have a lot of capabilities around communication and collaboration across the different teams, so that you understand, what all the teams are working on together, right? And have even review and approval process directly embedded in the tool, including support for digital signature. Or we have, of course, a lot of capabilities around reporting and dashboards. And we'll go through a quick demo in a minute so you have a bit more ideas about what I'm talking about. And so back from a big picture, right, here on the next slide, RTM is, again, part of our overall collaborative lifecycle management platform at IBM that includes Rational Doors Next Generation for requirements management and Rational Team Counter for change and defect management, tracking, planning, and SCM as well. So with this end-to-end solution, right, we support the overall ALM lifecycle management solution. And we have all the open API and services to integrate with test automation tools. So let me quickly run through a short demo here for a few minutes so that you have a better idea of what are some of the capability of RTM.
While we're doing that, I'd like to ask a couple questions to the presenters, if that's okay.
Yes, please go ahead. I'm ready to run the demo whenever you want.
So may I ask a question or two?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, perfect. One person wrote in and says, are you going to cover the pros of shifting from HP Octane to IBM tools, or is it just HP ALM to IBM tools?
So I don't really want to answer for cover, but I think this specific session today is really talking about HPQC and HPLM. We can certainly, talk about the other HP tool in another session.
Okay, so the attendee who asked the question, what you can do is when I send you the automated email, follow-up email, you can just reply to me directly, and I'll put you in contact with the Kovair personnel to work with you one-on-one on that. Another question they've asked is, does RQM have requirements and defects functionality or additional IBM tools like Doors Next Generation and Team Concert required to maintain requirements and defects respectively?
That's right. So the overall CLM platform, as I just said, is made really of those three tools together, which are completely integrated in our platform, right? So smoothly integrated. So Doors Next Generation is really the tool that deals with requirements management, and Rational Team Counter deals with defects tracking and planning.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then one other question. What is the difference between Doors Next Generation and the previous Doors in IBM going to support both in this version and in the future?
Right, so there are two distinct tools, right? Doors Next Generation is a new generation of doors, if you will, built on this new modern platform, web-based. And going forward, we will continue to maintain both the Doors 9 or Doors Classic and the Doors Next Generation, because we do know that customers will continue to use Doors 9 for many years moving forward. So both tools are going to be maintained in the future.
Thank you for the interruption. You can continue.
All right, thanks, Mark. All right, so let's move and go to the demo now. All right, so we're looking at the RQM user interface and specifically at the dashboards to start with. So the dashboard, and there can be many different dashboards, are really, you know, the things you might want to use as an engineer to have an overview of what's going on in your project at any point in time. And specifically with this view, we're looking at the quality management dashboards for a specific team. We've highlighted here, for example, some of the test plans that are being managed by this project area. So dashboards are highly customizable, and they present the relevant information at any point in time to the users, and they're always up to date. Obviously, in terms of quality management information, there's test cases, you know, traceability to requirements, or, you know, information about the execution status, like, you know, in terms of number of steps or number of test cases executed. Now going into a specific test plan now. So the test plan is really the artifacts you would use to organize your test activity for a specific product or specific subsystem or components. And you have many, you know, default sections that you can choose from and customize as well in the tool. So we're looking at the default template with, you know, links to requirements, obviously, that you're going to test. So requirement collection is the set of requirements you're going to test. And then moving to the test cases, and more specifically now looking at the traceability view, which again is where you can easily see, you know, for each test case, which are the requirements, can be one or multiple requirements that this test case is covering. And we have rich hover capability to show more details about the requirements, which could sit in Doors 9 or Doors Next Generation. We have a need to open those tools actually. If I go and now dive into, you know, a specific test case, this is what we're looking at here. And, you know, again, you have templates you can customize that have all the information needed for the test engineer to design and run the test case. So specifically here we have the test case design section, which is just the text sections that you can use to start sketching out your, you know, the different steps of your test case. And then you can ask RQM to actually automatically create a manual test scripts from that design. And then the tester will go and using here what we see, which is the test script editor, can augment these test scripts with graphics and, you know, for each step, what are also the expected results while running through that test. So really, you know, test scripts give all the details that a tester will need when it goes through the execution of a test. So going now back to the test case, right, and specifically the test case execution record, which is really this artifact that helps the plan the execution of the test, right, with a specific owner, for example, who is going to run that test. And obviously, you know, as part of the execution, we're going to collect the results, and we're going to get and dive into the results here of a previous execution. And we see the overall status is failed, right? But on top of that, in that test case results, we see that for each and every steps, we have captured the verdict, which is this green check mark, which is passed, and also the detailed actual results in some cases. Or maybe here step 5 has failed actually, as we see on the screen, right? And obviously the tester might have created also a defect. And again, as everything is linked in the tool, we can see that directly from the test results, the defect was created and linked into the rational team canceled application. So looking quickly at the defects, again, the defect will automatically be created by the tool, from the test, and automatically have all the links back to the effective requirements, to the test case result, to the specific test plan and test case which were executed to find that defect. So that obviously the developer can easily find back all that context that was used to create these defects and to run this test case and analyze and debug the problem. So back to the test case for a minute, just to give you an idea of what we were talking about when we say this tool can deal with multiple versions of those artifacts. So what we see here is the version tree history of this test case that we were looking at a minute ago. So we see we had created multiple versions of that test case and multiple branches, multiple streams. And the tool can actually go and help us, even compare different versions. So if you do that between 2 different nodes in that tree, 2 different versions, then we have a new UI where we see the side-by-side comparison of this test case with each and a different section that has differences highlighted in the tool. So that was a really quick demo, right, through the RTM tool, just to quickly show you some of the capabilities we have and we've been talking about. But again, as part of this webinar today, we really want also to talk about how you could easily move and migrate from your existing solution to this solution from IBM. And I'm going to hand this presentation now over to Amit from Kovair that is going to talk about their capability to help customers migrate from their solutions to this solution, to IBM Rational Quality Manager. So Hamid, up to you now, please.
Thank you, Christophe. So it's great to do this webinar jointly with IBM, and I would like to welcome everybody on behalf of Kovair. So before going into the product details of QuickSync, I will quickly go over a few slides where I will introduce Kovair and our portfolio of products. So to start with, so Kovair company, so we at Kovair are in the ALM tools integration business for the last 12 years from 2006 with our headquarters in Silicon Valley. We have offices in US Bay Area, Kolkata and Bangalore. Kovair was originally VC funded from NEA, Shutter Hill and Draper Richards Ventures, but I'm happy to say that currently we are self-supporting and profitable. We have some major customers like EMAT, AT&T, HSBC, Cisco, Intel and NVIDIA. And also we do have major partnerships with companies like IBM, CTS, HCL and Emphasis. So now coming to the portfolio of products we have. So to start with is Kovair QuickSync, the product of the day today, which we'll go into the details later on. So QuickSync is a standalone application to solve all your data migration related challenges. And it also facilitates synchronization between a couple of tools, because what we have seen through our experience that it is not always that a change of tool happens in a day. Generally in large companies they want to do it in phases, and when these phases are going on, obviously the two tool has to be in sync. So and that is why QuickSync is the one-stop solution which provides both the migration as well as the synchronization between the tools. Now next is Kovair Omnibus. So that is a SOA architected proprietary ESB platform of Kovair, which enable organizations to set up an integrated environment for development without replacing their existing tools. At present, we have almost integration with 80 commercial tools from different domains like application lifecycle management, product lifecycle management, ITSM, and from different vendors as well. Then we have Kovair DevOps. So this is built on Omnibus framework, and it is a one-click solution supporting 7 C's of DevOps. and it also integrates DevOps methodology with ALM tools. So it's not that Kovair DevOps starts after the code gets checked in or after the CI starts. It starts right from the beginning, from requirement or agile development, and continues till the production deployment. Now, before going into QuickSync, I would just like to quickly go over this slide, which talks about how Kovair Omnibus has support for OSLC. So as you can see in the diagram, that on the left hand side we have all the IBM JAS tools, and in between Kovair and Omnibus and those JAS tools we have this OSLC, right? So Kovair acts as a OSLC provider, and what it does is all the non-OSLC tools that are on the right side of Omnibus, it helps them to act as OSLC provider. So that means if you have non-OSLC tool on one side and the OSLC tool on the other side, then also you can establish some linking capabilities through Kovair Omnibus. Right. So with that, I will move to the next slide, which talks about QuickSync, which is the Kovair solution for data migration. So QuickSync is specifically designed for data migration between two tools. It comes as a turnkey solution catering to all your migration needs. And as I was saying before, that it supports synchronization of data between two tools, facilitating phase-wise rollout. We have some proven records of migrating 1.8 million records from HP to IBM with less than 0.1% error. And we also support post-migration data validation between source and target, because one major aspect of any data migration is that validation of data, whether the target data is exactly the replica of the source or not, right? And it often takes time to complete this, and that's why we provide a 6 months extended support after migration is complete, so that if there is any problem, which is absolutely not expected, then we are there to support you. Now, I would like to share one success story that we have with QuickSync. So it is a success story from a recent migration that we did for a global Fortune 50 company. As I was telling, that we migrated 1.8 million records, so more than 900 HP projects were migrated through this. We also there were more than 200 Windows boxes which took part in migration simultaneously and executed over 4 months without zero downtime for end users. And I'm proud to say that we had an error rate which was less than 0.1%. And we have given a case study, link to a case study over here. You can visit our website and go through the case study. All right. So with that, what I will do now, I will take you through a video on QuickSync, which will give you a fair enough idea about the tool. It's a very short video. So I am playing the video now.
Hi, welcome to Kovair recording on data migration from HP ALM 12.53 to RQM 6.0.5 using Kovair QuickSync. So starting from HP ALM instance, here we have a list of tests present. These tests are having design steps, attachment, also tests related to. Also, some of the tests are having a status as planned and some are having status as ready for migration and so on. We'll be just migrating the test cases which are having the status as ready for migration. Now let me take you to RQM. Here we can see that currently there are no test cases ready. So let's start with the migration. So take you over to QuickSync. Here we have already configured the scenario and mapped the projects accordingly. So let's directly go to the migration console and set the criteria for migration. So I just need to select the configuration and I need to select the mapping direction. That's from HP ALM 12.53 to IBM RQM 6.0.5. We go to migration console. Now as RQM only works with test, so we need to select the artifact test over here. Next I need to provide a condition. That's migration status equals to ready for migration. With this, I add the condition and I save it. I start the migration. Here, in the advanced log, we get to see the events getting fetched from the source tool, and also if it has got any attachments to it, so are also getting fetched. So are getting fetched along with the attachments, if any. Here in the migration log, we get to see a single consolidated view of the source record ID of HPLM test and its corresponding target record ID of RQM test case. Thus, the user is released from the page to go from one tool to another in order to search for the source and the target records. So we can see that one by one the records have got fetched, and we have got a success of 4 records, and an error has encountered with the source artifact ID of HPLM, that's 101. We also have the error message right over here that our error has been returned from the tool API. So before getting into the troubleshooting for 101, let's go to RQM and try to locate for these 4 records. So this is our RQM instance, and I just refresh the list of test cases and it fetches me the latest ones. So let me just open one for you. So here we have got the test case. Now HP does not have test scripts, so QuickSync automatically pushes a test script into it. And inside this test script, we have the steps present, and we can also see the attachments for each of the steps coming through. And here again, we have the related call to test. If I click over here, it takes me directly to the test case which it's related to. Next again, if I just expand this, we get to see the parameters, and here the corresponding values of the parameters. Now, how will the user in HPLM understand that the test got successfully migrated to RQM? Let's get back to HPLM, and when I refresh this list, I get the target artifact ID. So here we can see that for these particular test cases, we have got the target RQM test case ID present over here. However, this one encountered an error, so it did not get migrated and we couldn't get the sync-back ID. So let's get on to the troubleshooting mode now. I close this. And let me take you to the sanity check module. Here I just need to select the configuration and the project mapping, and over here I can sort by folder or by record ID of HPLM or RQM. And here we can see that yes, these are the 4 successful records, and this is the one which encountered an error. Let's go to the data history. Here we can see that the weight of this particular test was 0, and we know that RQM does not allow to create a test case with weight as 0. So what we are going to do is go directly to HPLM and assign it a weight of 5. And next, I'll do a live data sync right from the interface. So I click on my data sync. Next, I need to select the direction, that's HPLM to RQM, and I click on sync. And we get the message record sync successfully. So we need to click on refresh in order to see the latest status. So I just click on refresh, and it fetches me the latest status. That's a success. Let's get back to HPLM. And next again, I need to refresh this list. So that's the corresponding target artifact ID. So once we have the sync back ID present over here, let's go to RQM and try to locate for the latest test case. And browse the test cases, and that's the one with ID 225, which is migrated. Next, we have certain monitoring methods over here. Now, if I go to metrics and I select the configuration, and I just need to want to check the number of records that are migrated in the last 7 days. So it fetch me the list of records, also the ones which got migrated in the last 24 hours. Also, we have got something called the synchronization help. I need to select the configuration, and if I just click on show details, it will show that yes, these many records got migrated that if I have any errors, you can also get the error message right beside it. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so I think that gave you a brief idea about our tool QuickSync. So with that, I would like to pass the control to Christoph, so to take it from here. So Christoph, it's all yours now.
While we're doing that, can we go over a couple questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's see here. The next question in the queue is Rational Integration Tester RET not part of the Rational Workbench?
So that's right. So Rational Integration Tester, which is a test automation tool, is today also part of the Rational Test Workbench solution. That is an overall solution for test automation that does integration testing, but also functional testing. This is a different solution that is you can use additionally to Rational Quality Manager for automating your tests.
Next question in the queue is, for RQM, can the test cases be grouped in a tree structure according to business area?
Yes, they can. That's certainly something we do hear a lot from customers on how to organize test cases in Rational Quality Manager. So we don't have the exact same thing as the folders in RQM, but we have something that you can use like folders, which we call custom categories. Actually, custom categories are something that are kind of more powerful in a sense, because you can have as many hierarchical view on your test cases as you want, right? So you can use this functional area view, but you can also organize at the same time test cases by, the type of test cases in terms of whether they are, performance tests, functional tests, security tests, whatever, and so forth and so on. So you can have, if you will, like multiple virtual folders structure on top of your test cases, and still have the powerful way to easily reuse these test cases in many different test plans or test projects with RQM.
Regarding the test scripts, can separate columns be added to customize according to clients' requirements to include additional information like transaction codes for SAP scenarios?
Yes, that's also something that is customizable, like many other parts of RQM, right? As you might have seen quickly in the demonstrations, we have out-of-the-box artifacts templates for test plans, test cases, and test scripts. All of those are customizable, including adding additional columns in manual test scripts, and they can be, text format or integer or whatever you need. And you can decide, again, whether those columns are things which you will be only, used at design time when you're creating the test and will be read-only at execution time, or in fact, whether you also want some of those columns to be, read-write at execution time to gather more detailed information about the specific test results.
One more question, and we'll move on. Can you please explain the RQM licensing model?
Well, I can certainly, quickly give an overview because there are actually many, many different options. So I won't be able to explain all of it here. But so today we have options so that you can use and have RQM license on premises, whether it's concurrent users or it's authorized users. We have another option we call tokens, which are, tokens which are things you can use across all the Rational tools and even more than that. And, meaning you can mix and match the tools you use at any given point in time from IBM using those tokens. And of course, finally, we also have these tools available on cloud. Again, whether you're using your own licenses, like I talked about earlier, or as a SaaS pay-as-you-go model where you can also have your licenses on demand.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on with the presentation, and we'll get to more questions later.
Right, thanks, Mark. And actually, we're getting toward the end of this presentation. So again, before wrapping it up here, I just want to thank very much our friends from Kovair to be with us this webcast today and showing how easy it is to migrate from other solutions to our RQM platform with their tools and how successful they've been with some of our customers to do so. So some of proposed follow-up steps here. As you can see, if you want to learn more about Rational Quality Manager, we have a dedicated website called jazz.net for RQM, but for all of our CLM solutions. And we have what we call previews, which are kind of demos. You can easily go and use the tools we have without having any installation to do. You can just use your own browser and quickly go through the RQM tool and all the tools we provide as part of our platform. Next down here, of course, if you want also to learn more about the QuickSync tool from Kovair, another link for you to go and get more details and a demo from that tool. And if you want to read more about this specific success story where Kovair helped move 3 million data records with zero downtime, again, a link to that case study available on the Kovair website. And also, you know, Kovair might want to talk more about this, but we offer, you know, and they offer POCs with QuickSync for a limited number of records. But I guess, Amit, you might want to talk more about this one.
Yeah, sure. So from Kovair, absolutely, we provide POC of QuickSync because since QuickSync is a migration tool and the projects of QuickSync are very short duration, that's why we provide a POC with limited records. So if you want to try out with QuickSync, you can have it migrate some of the records and see that whether it works or not, and then you can go for the license or for the tool to get the entire thing migrated.
Very good. Thank you, Amit. So I think that's really it, Mark. We're getting to the end of this presentation. So if there are any additional questions, be happy to answer to them now.
All right, excellent. Yeah, we have several questions in the queue, and we do have time, so I'd like to go through them. Let me let this person know we're going to answer. So the next question is, does QuickSync support migration from IBM RQM to QC? Have you done this at any client site?
QuickSync, if I talk from the capabilities point of view, then yeah, QuickSync can do that, but we have never got a request where we have seen that customers are moving from RQM to HP. Rather, I would say that we have seen many cases where people are moving from HP to RQM.
A similar question, but it's a little bit different, so I'll go ahead and ask it anyways, and that is to Kovair. Is Kovair QuickSync available free of charge when we procure RQM licenses, or is there a cost associated with it?
There is a cost associated with it, so it's not free of charge.
It does not come bundled with RQM, not at this time.
Another question, other test management tool vendors offer inbuilt migration utilities free of charge. Our customers would expect the same with RQM as well. Would that be a true statement? Maybe Christophe, you need to answer that.
Yeah, I can take this one. Well, I mean, as we said, right, RQM offers a lot of public API that you could use to migrate data into RQM, right? So as a starting point, and we have, for example, also using those APIs for customers that want to, move some of the data they might have in Excel spreadsheets or Word documents into RQM. So we have that. Now, the reality is, like for any of the tools, HPQC or HPLM, I'm pretty sure many customers have customized those tools for their specific needs. So migrating data, from this tool into RQM is not that easy in general and will require some work. And obviously, we're talking about not just test data, but we're talking about linked data where, test cases are linked to requirements and to defects, for example. And so that's another layer of complexity, if you will. And that's really what is a value add from Kovair tool, right, and services, which is ability to deal with those complex linked data which might have been customized and move them all together with no downtime to RQM.
Can the tool migrate test scripts from Word documents to RQM?
Well, so I mean, I can answer this one as well. I am not sure about what Kovair will do here, but again, as I just briefly talked about, we do have also APIs and importer from Microsoft documents, whether Excel spreadsheet or Word documents, into RQM. That's something that exists today, and that's part of the tool. This is free of charge with RQM.
Do you know of test adapters for testing tools like VectorCast or LDRA?
So some of our business partners, I've looked at them. Actually, LDRA themselves, I think, have looked at RQM and providing integration with it. Same with VectorCast. I have heard from some business partners or customers creating those integrations. We at IBM usually do not ourselves propose those adapters. We usually team up with business partners or third-party vendors to have those adapters being built. We do offer, standard adapters for like command line interface or some specific tools like the rational tools or the HP test automation tools I talked about, but not specifically for VectorCast or for LDRA directly. But I do believe those adapters exist from those vendors.
Yeah, so just one point to add that we, as a part of Kovair Omnibus, we do provide adapters for LDRA.
If we have to replace HP ALM, should we procure the three IBM tools, Rational Quality Manager, Rational Doors Next Generation, and Rational Team Concert?
Well, I guess the answer is going to be it depends. Because in our licensing model, Rational Quality Manager license actually does give access to some level of requirements management and some level of tracking and planning. So the RQM license itself might be good enough in some cases, but if you need to get more into the actual requirements management discipline or tracking and planning, that's where you might need to have the full CLM solutions from IBM and need this license instead.
Can the automation of interfaces testing like IIB be done through RFT? What's the difference between RFT and RIT?
Okay, so we're talking more about test automation, and I don't know the specific here. Certainly, rational integration tester is more focused around API testing and really focusing on how you're going to test an application through their standards APIs or exposed APIs, whereas rational functional tester is really a UI testing tool, a functional testing tool that will use like a web browser or a JavaScript client to interact with the application and the test or the system and the test. So that would be the main difference between those two tools.
Is QuickSync able to migrate Microfocus state, I think it's State ARM or State M to IBM RTC?
Currently, we don't have a ready pair for that, but yes, that can be done by Kovair. I mean, Kovair QuickSync can definitely migrate that data.
Yeah. Does Kovair QuickSync solution support older versions of ALM and CLM? They say they're running Hewlett-Packard ALM version 11 and CLM version 5.0.2 with intention to upgrade to CLM version 6.0.5 this year.
Yeah, we have support for all the versions of ALM as well as CLM.
All right, next question. Are the interrelations between the artifacts of HP ALM are kept after migrating to RQM?
Pardon, can you repeat that question, Mark?
Are the interrelations between the artifacts of Hewlett-Packard ALM, are they kept after migrating to RQM?
To answer this, see, RQM is a placeholder for the test artifacts only. So any relationship that is there between the test artifacts, that gets transferred to RQM. But let's say if RQM, I mean the data is going to different IBM tools, like requirements going to doors and defects going to RTC, things like that, then we propagate those relationships also across these different tools.
Here's a question, looks like coming from a seller of ours, and I'll read it and hopefully you can elaborate on it. The question is this: it's tough to convince our customers to move from single test management tool to 3 tools. How do we convince them?
Well, the reality is, again, if you want to have the full ALM solutions, it's sometimes not really one tool. Like HPQC won't really give you any tracking and planning capabilities, and have some requirements management capabilities, but I would argue that most of the time clients will need more than what is provided there. And you know, when we talk about RQM or the CLM solutions from IBM, this is maybe several tools or several applications in the naming, but in reality this is just one solution and one platform built on the same server, right, which we call the Jazz platform, right? This is why we have this jazz.net dedicated website. So from an administrative point of view and a user point of view, you're actually moving to one tool.
All right, attendees, the panel is open. Feel free to ask a question. All right. Question also, a follow-up regarding the last one is, does it mean the collective cost of all 3 tools would be less than the HP ALM solution?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of different licensing mechanism, as we talked about, and a lot of different options, and we do believe that, but from what we've seen with clients, there are certainly options that will make the overall cost a lot lower than the cost of the HPQC tools. Again, it might depend on, you know, specific deployments and things like that, but there are certainly options we can look at.
Okay, great. So it doesn't look like there's any more questions. I'll leave it open for a little while longer and make some parting comments. If anybody else has any interest or further questions, would like to get in touch with our presenters today, or needs a private demo of this solution, feel free to reply to my automated email that I send out to all registrants. Other than that, on that automated email, there'll be a link where you can view this recording. So feel free to you know, view it as many times as you'd like. And we look forward to working with you further. So feel free to reach out. Christophe and the rest of our presenters, is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Well, I'd like to thank you very much, Mark, for the opportunity to talk about this great story we had to talk about today. Again, I'm just showing, you know, some of those links for the attendees to go and find more about our solutions and our partnership with Kovair as well. So thanks again for the opportunity today.
It was our pleasure. Okay, so with that said, we're going to wrap up the webinar. Everyone have a great rest of the week. And again, if you have any further interest or questions, feel free to reply back to my automated email. I will be happy to have a direct dialogue with you. So with that said, the webinar is now concluded, and we look forward to having you come back at a future Enlightenment Series webinar. So take care all, and goodbye.